Marketing is really helping to set the foundation and the
Mhm.
positioning for who you are, what you're delivering, and really knowing your why and the value that you bring to the table. I think people get so excited about what's my next Instagram post going to be like, or what does my logo look like and tagline. And all of those things will come, and they'll come much easier once you set the foundation for why you're doing what you're doing. What is it that makes you different that you're bringing to the market to help tell that story so that you can have an amazing tagline, an amazing Instagram post, and a beautiful logo when you actually go to market to launch. And I think that's the piece that most people miss, is that they think marketing is just the visual of how you show up when there's so much more to it.
Welcome to the Vision to Reality podcast. I'm your host, Curtis L. Jenkins, and in each episode, I speak with industry experts, thought leaders, and innovators to break down the strategies, techniques, and methods that turn their ideas into reality. Whether your vision is to scale your business, build and lead a winning team, prepare for your next big career move, this podcast is for you. Let's get started and bring your vision to reality. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vision to Reality podcast, where we highlight accomplished leaders who have turned their personal and professional visions to reality. I'm your host, Curtis Jenkins, and today we're talking about branding with heart, how clear strategy and authentic leadership drive real growth. Joining me today is Tracey Del Moral, who is the founder and CEO of TDM and Company, a boutique consultancy helping brands grow with clarity, purpose, and heart. With more than 20 years of experience leading integrated brand, product, and marketing strategy, Tracey has partnered with top companies including Oshkosh B'gosh, Rent, Solenis, Heinz, and JLL, bringing strategic insight and storytelling together to drive meaningful results. Welcome, Tracey.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and excited to connect with you again.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been a while since we connected, but I tell you, I was so looking forward to this conversation. So first, tell us about Tracey.
About me. So I am a lover of storytelling and branding, and I am lucky enough that that is what I've been doing my entire career, whether it be on the agency side of the business or in corporate America. And now I'm getting to do that on my own for my own company. And I am thrilled to be able to do that. So very excited.
Awesome. And you said you were a lover of storytellers. Like where'd that come storytelling, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
I think it came from just my experience of seeing brands that I feel do a really good job of connecting with their audience and really understanding what their audience needs and what moves them, to brands that miss the mark, right? And you have brands like that in your life where you feel a connection with, whether it be the type of car that you drive and the brand that you decide to purchase there, or the brand that you decide to use to wash your laundry. Like, there's a connection across the board that brands are able to make. And I think that there's something really beautiful about that ability to do that and do it really well.
Oftentimes, I hear about winning minds and winning hearts. And it sounds like to me, branding is about winning hearts. Okay, so elaborate on that a little bit. And where do we get it right and where do we get it wrong?
I think it's so important that brands really understand their why. Why are they even doing what they're doing? And I think that goes for whether it be a Fortune 500 company or an individual. I think it's so important to understand your why, and then also, how are you going to tell it? How are people going to relate to it? And what are you actually solving for them? What are you bringing to the table that they feel like they might need, or that they may not even know that they need, but that you're still able to tell your story in a really authentic way so that you can build that trust, so that you can tell your story and be what I consider a storyteller, which are some of the best marketers, brands in the world that are able to do that in a really true, authentic way.
Awesome. So I want you to tell me more about your story. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Start from the beginning. So
Start from the beginning, little Tracy growing up, because did you say I want to be a marketing strategist when I grow up?
Well, actually, funny enough, when I was in college, I grew up with a mom and a dad that were both in the advertising, marketing, printing space. And so I had always had the ability to be exposed to it. And my father was a designer by trade, and I am not creative in that realm, right? Like I cannot design, I can't draw, I can't do any of that. But I really, really loved it. And I loved how my mom was able to bring those designs to life by owning her own printing company. And so I decided to go to college for marketing. So I went to Emory and decided I loved the best of both worlds. Where could I fit between the two? And I loved consumer insights and learning what made people tick, what drove people to make the decisions that they did. So there was a bit of research there. And that's what led me to marketing strategy, helping to pull all of these pieces together to build brands, tell stories, and make connections. So that's really where it started. So sometimes I say I'm one of the lucky ones that I went to college knowing what I wanted to do, because not everyone knows that, and that's okay. You can get there. But yeah, so that's kind of the path that led me there, and that's what I've been doing all along.
I mean, it's in you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it reminds me of families that have physicians that go through generations as well as dentists and things like that. I used to love to see that kind of legacy passed down. So this is kind of cool that you were born into this.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I really do. And I'm so fortunate to have parents that were just so passionate about what they did and that I would say they were trailblazers in their time because there weren't a lot of people that looked like us that did the things that we do that were starting their own companies and managing their own businesses. And so, I reflect back and I look at them and thought like I can do this too. Like they set the path for me to get there and I can definitely take that and run with it.
Awesome. I got to ask this question. I work with a number of small businesses and I focus on strategy, and I'm talking about more or less overarching strategy. Now, included in that should be a sales and marketing strategy.
Absolutely.
And I ask questions, like, hey, before I start working with them, what's your strategy? And part of my realization framework experience touches on trying to understand what that vision is, right? So we can really develop a strategy together. But the one thing I always hear is I just need more marketing. And I go, okay, all right. What's your marketing strategy? Well, I'm going to hire a marketer. Okay, what's your budget? Well, I don't really know. I think I have $1,000. So I know I said a lot, but I think you understand the mistakes that people make. Can you sort of help me unpack that? And what will we tell these small business owners, large business owners in terms of how they should see marketing strategy, what is marketing, and maybe some tips and tricks that they need to do. And you better budget for it, right? So
Yes.
I
Yeah.
know I threw a lot at you.
Yeah. So I would say, regardless of budget, whether you are dealing with millions of dollars and you can hire a really big agency to help you execute or develop your plans and strategies, or you're a person of one starting your own business, right? I think marketing is really helping to set the foundation and the positioning for who you are, what you're delivering, and really knowing your why and the value that you bring to the table. I think people get so excited about what's my next Instagram post going to be like, or what does my logo look like and tagline. And all of those things will come, and they'll come much easier once you set the foundation for why you're doing what you're doing. What is it that makes you different that you're bringing to the market to help tell that story so that you can have an amazing tagline, an amazing Instagram post, and a beautiful logo when you actually go to market to launch. And I think that's the piece that most people miss is that they think marketing is just the visual of how you show up when there's so much more to it. And you can do it as a person of one. You can jot it down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to at least get it down on paper and start thinking through your plan of your why. I always go back to what's your why? Why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because that once you figure that out, that makes things a lot easier to kind of map out the rest of it.
Okay. So a person of one, right? I'm gonna do a shameless little bit of marketing right here. Like,
Okay, that works.
and it shows up visually, right? And I think about that. What are some strategies, right? So what do you ask people, first of all, to pull out of them so that then you can start talking more at the strategic level around marketing?
Yeah, if I was just dealing with a person to one, and I went through this process myself while I was starting my company, I started with the things that really moved me, the things that I loved and enjoyed doing. And then I mapped out, what do people come to me naturally for? Like, why do people reach out to me? Why do people pick up the phone, send an email, send a LinkedIn message? And it helped me to really define where my strengths were and where I really needed to lean into. And that really helps set the tone for everything else that I was doing. And again, I think that applies to any brand and any person. Once you figure out what that is, that really does help set the path for where you're going to go forward.
Okay. All right. So I did a similar exercise, right? I did a survey and I asked people two questions. What is it that I've helped you with in the past? What what did you get from it? And the second is, if you were to recommend me to somebody, what would be the gift that I would give them?
Okay.
And
I love
that
that.
helped me with coming up with vision to reality, right? Because they said that you help clarify, you help bring light from darkness. I was stuck and you helped unstuck me. And so I said, okay, so let me double down on this vision to reality and let me continue to do that. And I look at it as what I consider myself as a dreamer, a teacher, and a connector. So it all weaves in together.
Absolutely.
But I gotta tell you, where I struggle with sometimes is finding, I would say, a larger tribe outside of my normal network,
Mhm.
my warm network.
Yeah.
So what are some strategies that you would tell a person of one falling into that they can employ?
I think it's really important to tap into the resources that are around you. You would be surprised, and I'll use me as an example. When I happened upon this path, because one, I was let go from my previous job along with 400 other people, and I made a post about this experience. I was very truthful. I was like, I'm going to do something that's going to make me a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to tell people the truth about what happened and where I am and what I'm hoping to get out of this experience. And people that I had known 20 years ago reached out to me, connecting with me, wanting to grab coffee. People I'd never met before reaching out to say, like, hey, can I grab 30 minutes on your calendar for us to just talk about what you're going through? Because I'm going through the same thing. And it's making yourself vulnerable, which can be a little bit uncomfortable in those situations, but when you do, it opens the door to so many different things and so many different people that might actually be able to help you, or you might be able to help them on their path. And so I think that that's really important as you're going on this journey.
That vulnerability.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
had a conversation with a gentleman helping me with my TED Talk, my
Yeah.
upcoming TED Talk. Not scheduled.
Exciting.
This is just an aspiration. This is the Vision to
Yes.
Reality
You put it
podcast,
out
right?
there.
I
Yes,
put it
you
out
put it
there.
out there.
And one of the things he shared with me is, hey, dude, you are excellent when it comes to, looking me up, when it comes to frameworks and driving strategy, et cetera, et cetera. And he goes, who are you? Like nobody knows. And the only people that know me are people that know me. And I was shocked at that because I think what I've been doing is, as a person of one, I've been marketing myself like a corporation, right? I just want to be clean and polished. I saw this other YouTube video, and a gentleman put up on the screen Tesla and he put Elon Musk.
Mhm.
And he said, people follow Elon Musk, who has millions of followers, Tesla, hundreds of thousands of followers. So, what advice do you have for somebody who is putting themselves out there, trying to create a brand? In addition to the vulnerability, what are some things they can do so that they can tell their story about who they are versus just putting out all this knowledge stuff and industry jargon?
I think you have to figure out what's your unique perspective and what people are looking for. I see a lot of people posting, and I'll even do it myself. You're just posting information, knowledge, and the things that people connect with me the most is when I am telling the stories that they can relate to, whether it be something that I've experienced from a marketing perspective, working with brands, or it's something that I've experienced from a leadership perspective. And I think when you show up as your true self, people can identify that versus someone who's just coming off of a script and doing what they think people might want to hear. And so I think that's the real difference. And that's probably why Elon has millions of followers. Like he's very true to himself, right? He makes no apologies for who he is and he shows up. And Tesla as a brand, there are definitely people who are like avid Tesla lovers that will follow, but they're not necessarily connecting with as many people. And I think that that's the big difference there is that Elon is very authentic and true to who he is, whether you like it or not. And Tesla as a brand has probably not been able to get there just yet.
Got it. Got it. Let's go back a little bit on the vulnerability.
Yeah.
I want you to share what you felt, what you experienced, and then the transition from growing from the layoff to the journey of being TDM and Company.
Yeah. So when I learned about the layoffs, my initial reaction was I felt terrible for my team because I was like, this is an amazing group of individuals that I have had the opportunity to work with. How can I help them so that they can find the next thing that they want to do in their careers? Because it took everybody by surprise. And I mean, that's just who I am by nature. Like I care about other people and I want people to feel confident in what they do, especially when you're working with such talented individuals. And so that was the first thing that I felt. And then I looked at myself and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm also out of a job. And so I went down the traditional path I think that most people do. You know, you rush to get your resume updated. You start applying for so many jobs. You're reaching out to people and the market is tough. It is really tough out there. And I took a step back and had a heart to heart with my husband and he was like, "This might be the moment for you to take a step out on faith and do your own thing." I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yes, I think it is." And so I made myself an agreement that I would take the next year to map out what that looks like and really take a chance on myself and start figuring out all the things that I needed to start my own business, to start making connections, to start building my client portfolio. Because being in marketing, especially working on the agency side or even within corporations, you've got other people that are doing all of that for you, right? You've got people managing finances for you. You have people that are doing the new business outreach that you don't have to do. You manage what comes in. You can hire agencies to do things for you. Here I am, a person of one, now having to figure out how do I spend my time doing all these things to build my own brand, to build my own company. And it's overwhelming. It's exciting, but it's very overwhelming because there are things that you would never think of that you have to take into account while you're building out your business. I'm sure you've had to go through it as well, right? You're like, "Oh, taxes," like stuff like that where yeah, it's very eye-opening and it's very humbling, but it's also very exciting. And I realize that when you reach out to people and you ask for help, more than likely people are willing to give you that help and give you that guidance. Even if they can't themselves, they'll connect you with someone that can. And I think that's the beauty of being able to do this is being able to reconnect with people from my past that have helped really guide me, and then also meeting new people that are willing to put in the time to say, "Here's what I learned along the way and a similar journey. Here are the things that you need to watch out for." So it's been great. It's been humbling, it's been exciting, it's been very emotional, but all in all, it's been really fantastic.
That sounds amazing. I got to ask a more personal question though. If you didn't have the support system of your husband, would you still take the leap?
I think at the point that I was in my career, and I know not everybody can do this, I absolutely would have. I felt like I was applying to so many different jobs and things were just going into black holes and I wasn't hearing back from companies. And I heard that from a lot of the people that I work with that got laid off. And a lot of them ended up starting their own thing, oddly enough. And so we were kind of on this journey together. And I felt like I was in a position to do that. that all the work that I had done up until this point, all of the planning kind of led me to this path. And so I for sure would have. I'm grateful to have his support though. Um, and sometimes you start off small. Like I felt like I was kind of thrown into it, right? Unexpectedly, but it was a good thing that that happened. But I know plenty of people that are working a full-time job and doing their side hustle because at the end of the day, they want to be their own boss. They want to do their own thing. And so they find the time to focus and put effort and energy into that because at the end of the day, you're putting it into yourself, right? And I think that that's what's really, awesome about this experience is that all of the time and energy is you're pouring it into something that you're building, not for someone else. So I think that's been pretty cool.
I'm so glad to hear that, right? And I wanted people to hear you say that it's great to have a support system, but you
Yeah,
can still do it if you don't. So
absolutely.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was today, but you did a post on LinkedIn and it was a kind of funny post for me. So I just want to bring it up.
Okay.
And you talked
Okay.
about it says, what are your favorite marketing slogans that people say that they get wrong, right? And you said, if we make it, they will buy it. And then I saw somebody else put that as well, and I wrote, if you build it, they will come, right? From Field of Dreams. Boy, did I learn that doesn't happen. I mean, I built an online course and I was going to make millions because I'm teaching my online course
Yeah.
and crickets.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. Why do people think that and then fail so miserably? And what could they do differently?
I think that people get excited about an idea, and I think that's so good and so important because you want to have that momentum and energy behind it. But I think a lot of times people fail to validate that idea, right? To have the research or the data behind it, because without research and data, like marketing doesn't really go anywhere. You need that
Okay.
foundation
Double
to
down on
understand.
that. Double down
Yeah.
on that.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, but you do like numbers tell a story within themselves, right? Numbers can really help you define the path that you're going to go down. And if you haven't taken the time to do the research, even if it's just general research on the internet, just simple research to really understand what the need is in the market. What are people looking for? What are the problems that you need to solve? How many other competitors are out there that are already doing or saying what you think you should be saying? If you don't set that foundational work up, and I call that the unsexy work, like that's not the fun stuff, but it's so critical to success. If you don't do that, then that's how you end up creating products or services that launch and fall flat because there was never a need for them to begin with. And I cannot tell you the countless number of times that I've worked within organizations where they create something, they build something, and it's really cool, but there's no demand for it. And it could be something as small as I worked in the children's space for so long, you know, coming up with a new toy or something like that that just didn't fly because babies couldn't use it. Like, it's just little things like that that, had we done the research and taken the time up front, we would have known this idea is cool, but we're gonna have to modify it. We're gonna have to make some changes to it to address the need in the market. And yeah, so that foundational work is really important. But yeah, I love when things like that happen, but it's funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it was pretty cool that you put that post out there because I fell victim into it, right?
We've all done it. We've all done it. We've all done it. We're I hear this all the time. We're trying to build the plane as we're flying it, right? Like that's a tricky place to be. And sometimes it works out. And then sometimes it's like, oh, we may need to land this and reconfigure some things so that we can go ahead and do things the right way.
Yeah, that the lesson for me was, see, I was taking my workshops and my speeches, and I'm like, people love it. They hear this stuff. I get a lot of people coming up to me, and we want more, we want more. I said, let me put together a course so that they can do it on their own. And I go, okay, with me not there, it's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I learned that, but I tried, and I'm learning, right?
Yeah, but that's something unique that you bring to the table that if You take that away, that's the missing piece. That's what makes it so successful. So I understand that.
Yep. Yep. So my first, I would say, foray into marketing, or at least what I can put my fingers on, is I wrote a book in 2019 called "The Only Job Search Book You'll Ever Need." Bold, right? Before COVID and all this other stuff. So I actually am rewriting the book, and the subtitle is "Using the Four P's of Marketing to Rise Above Competition." And behind that story was going to a class. When I was looking for a job, I went to job search groups and classes, and there was a gentleman that said, "Hey, you guys have to get out of your mind the dirty word of sales, and you got to
Mhm,
embrace it, and you got to be out there marketing yourself." And I did some research and said, you know what? I'm going to use this four P's of marketing
mhm,
because I'm going to make myself a product and in the marketplace. And then I'm going to learn pricing strategies, things like that, which is, your salary, your benefits, and everything that comes with it. Um, I'm going to learn how to position myself, what I
mhm.
call eye level, buy level, right? And like the supermarkets use. And then I'm going to promote myself, and I'm going to promote myself in a way that I'm doing it, and I'm going to get other people doing it with the network. I want to get your take on that because I've been doing it for so long, and I think if I get marketing right, marketing me for jobs has been very, very fruitful for me.
Yeah. I think, and whether you call it the 4 Ps or you call it something else, because there's even up to 7 Ps and more than that,
Really? Okay.
I think that what you've kind of walked through is that foundational work to help set yourself up for success. So that is defining your why, right? That is defining your voice and how you're going to promote and sell yourself. It is about identifying your value. Those are all things that still hold true, whether you're calling them the 4 Ps or your positioning. And so I think it makes sense as an individual who's going out for job seeking, know your value, know your worth, and why somebody should hire you and be confident in that. And then it goes the other way too, as a brand or as a company that's launching, understanding what those things are so that you do show up as your best self and you're putting your best foot forward.
Okay. So you just validated. So thank you. I wanted a marketer to do that for me.
We've used the 4 Ps. Yeah.
And for me, I use frameworks, right? So it just helps me. I think that's the other thing that when I talk about being more vulnerable and telling my story, it's easy for me to say, do these three things, one, two, three, or do this framework or do this. But there's a whole human behind it that I'm trying to bring out for other people to see. What would you say for people that do that, right? They're so corporate. They're so, I mean, you say tell your story, but what are some other things?
I think it's so important to be honest and relatable. And I always go back to this word, be authentic, right? Show up as yourself. You don't have to have the answer every single time. And I think as leaders, as organizations, we always feel like we have to get it right. And that's not the case. We don't learn from that. We learn from failure, from mistakes. I think having that vulnerability and the ability to share that you don't always have the answers. You don't always get it right. I think there's a level of respect that comes with that where it makes people want to trust you and want to engage with you and that you create that space to say, this is me, this is who I am. I don't have all the answers. You might. So let's figure out how we can work together to solve this problem. And I think creating that space where people feel safe to come to you, to talk to you because they know that you're being real. I think that is so important. So I think that that makes a huge difference in how you show up.
Hey, I just wanted to take a quick break to say thank you for tuning into the Vision to Reality podcast. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready to level up your business or career, I've got some great resources for you. To turn your business vision into reality, my book, Vision to Reality, Start Working, Start Living, is available now and filled with strategies to help you bring your goals to life. Plus, the companion Vision to Reality digital workbook is the perfect tool to guide you step by step through the process. You can grab both at curtisljenkins.com. And if you're preparing for your next job search, check out my book, The Only Job Search Book You Will Ever Need. This book uses proven marketing strategies that have been used for over 60 years to help you rise above competition to land your dream job. You can grab your copy at curtisljenkins.com. And I have great news. This book will be updated with a new version that includes recent impacts on the job search process, such as remote work, AI, government policy changes, and much more. Thanks again for listening. Now let's get back to the conversation. Okay. I think that happens again with people that know me. I mean,
Yeah.
you knew me in terms of, what I did at the company and mentoring and things like that. But
Yeah.
again, it's about how do I do that same thing and throw it out there to the market. And I got to admit, it's kind of scary, right? Putting
Yeah.
it out
Of
there
course.
with people that you don't know and you're worried about how you look, right? How you come across. So I think I'm going to take that advice and get back to you on that. See if I can
Okay. Okay.
do a
Let me
better
know how
job
it
on
goes.
it. Yeah, absolutely. So you are now doing your own business, but I want to go back to when you were working for companies. And give me a couple of stories of the impact that you made from the training, from what you grew up with, and how you've been able to, say, make these companies successful because of some of the strategies you put in place.
Yeah. I think one of the most recent ones was actually the company that I was laid off from. So at Rent, I was able to build a team from scratch. It was a piece that was missing in the cog of all things marketing, and it was the product marketing team. And I am so excited and so proud of the work that we did there because we implemented something new that didn't exist before. When that happens, people don't know how to interact with you. People don't know why you're there. People don't understand the value that you bring. So, having the ability to build that trust, build those relationships, build frameworks and processes, the whole gambit, and have it actually work and integrate into the larger system for me was a huge milestone that we were able to do fairly quickly. And that goes a long way when people start coming to you after you were met with resistance when you first start. And then, a few months down the road, they're like, oh, you actually provide value. You understand me. You're looking to help solve problems with me, not create those problems. And I think, as a leader, as a marketer, helping to connect the dots and build that strategy from, the ground up was huge for me. That was a huge accomplishment. So, very proud of that work. Tell me, what other kind of examples would you like me to give?
I just want you to dig deep, right? And tell me about an example that after you accomplished it, you were different, right? You
Yeah.
got through you got through the war. You
Yeah.
had no idea it was going to be as successful as it was. You doubted yourself, but you persevered. What's that story?
Okay. So I'm going to tell you that story.
Okay.
And it was actually at Solenis.
Okay.
Um, when I tell people the story, they're like, that is insane. But I, along with my team, relaunched 16 brands all at the same time. And that is unheard of. It was a labor of love. It was incredibly taxing. But what we were able to achieve within the time frame that we were able to do it was huge. We were able to launch a completely brand new brand. We were able to relaunch new brand identities for, I believe, 6 other brands. We were able to refresh the balance of the brands that existed. So that meant new strategic frameworks for all of them, new product packaging, new branding, logos, messaging, websites, brochures, you name it, everything was starting over from scratch. And it about killed me. So it was, when I look back at it, I'm like, I can't believe that I did that. And then I look back and I said, I can't believe that I did that. Like, it was so incredibly taxing. And it taught me a lesson about setting boundaries and knowing when too much is too much. And while we were able to do that and it was very successful and everything looked beautiful, the sales team was excited about it, our customers were excited about what we were bringing to market, I also knew like that was too much. Like that was a lot for myself, for my team to accomplish in such a short amount of time. So it taught me a lot of things. It taught me a lot about what I'm capable of, right? When I really push boundaries and push limits and push timelines, but it also taught me the value of my own health, my team's health, mental health, physical health. And so there were a lot of things that I learned from that that I don't think I would have ever thought about otherwise, that from that experience, I took and implemented moving forward to make sure that in all the teams that I work with and all the people that I work with, that I do set boundaries with them and I help them set boundaries for themselves to say, we don't have to do it all. You need to tell me when too much is too much and we'll pull back. We'll rescope. We'll make sure that we're prioritizing things and not trying to boil the ocean because I think that's so important. One, to success, how you show up as an individual and what your team is willing to do to really bring their best selves to work. If they feel like they're just doing everything and not getting rewarded for it, or they're not being acknowledged for everything that they're bringing to the table, that is taxing within itself. And so, taking all the things that I learned from that experience and implementing them in everything that I do moving forward, I think has made me a better person, a better manager, more self aware, and really making sure that I'm taking care of myself, um, before I can show up for everybody else. So hopefully
Awesome.
that helped answer. But that was
No, that
that
was a
was
good answer. And I know it's a good answer because I got goosebumps.
that was tough. It was tough. It was definitely tough.
Well, I want to keep you there for a moment. And then I want you to imagine. Imagine now you're going through the same thing, but you have AI tools.
Yes.
Could you get through it with less stress, or would AI not have helped because of other factors?
I think that in certain instances, AI could have definitely helped. But when you're, especially because we were dealing with physical product, I'm not really sure how much AI could have helped the process there. You still have to go through legal testing, production of things. And so AI could not replace the physical part of it in terms of like creating efficiencies and managing things better, helping to create content faster? Probably so. I think AI definitely could have done that. I would say that starting my own business even today without the support of AI, I'd probably be further, or not further along or as far along as I am today if I didn't have those tools available to me. So it definitely helps. I would say that, but it was still a massive undertaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, how is AI impacting your industry? And you kind of gave a little bit about that, but are you excited about AI and what it can do to help you? Or are you nervous about AI in terms of your industry yourself and being replaced by it? What are your thoughts there?
I it's that's a tough place to be because I think AI as a tool has it's so many rewards to it. Like it's very rewarding. It definitely helps you get things done, but I also think that it's not a replacement for your brain, right? Like you have to be able to make sure that you're leveraging it in the way that makes the most sense for your business, for you as a person, that's going to make you more efficient at what you're doing. Do I think it's going to replace marketing or someone like me? I don't think so. I just think that it's a tool to help strengthen what I can bring to market and what I can do for my clients. I think it's a great tool as long as you learn and understand how to use it and when to use it.
What's the risk that I run, me personally, right? But I represent everybody else. If I, for example, was not here with you, but I programmed sort of AI to do it, what's that risk to my personal brand by, you know, introducing AI to the world as the form as a f- in a form of Curtis Jenkins?
Yeah. I think that you lose that authenticity and the reason why people connect to you in the first place, the reason why people are naturally drawn to you. And it's so funny because I was having a conversation with people the other day. Apparently, there's this AI actress that if you didn't know she was AI, you would believe that she was real, right? And I'm like, that's scary. But knowing you and having met you and spending time like talking about careers and family and all those things, like those are the things that make you truly unique and what people are drawn to. And if you were to replace that with I don't think I would be as comfortable talking to AI or answering questions for AI or, there's still that personal element that's so important to who we are as human beings that I think without that, that's what would be missing. Like we wouldn't be able to make that connection. It wouldn't be as real as two people actually talking to one another.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. In
So
fact,
don't do that.
Yeah, I won't. And I've seen some people do it, right? And I've also read something about personal branding is sort of it's going by the wayside. Now, I didn't read further to say where it's going to, but tell me about what's happening now with personal branding and what do you see the future of personal branding to be?
So when you say personal branding is going by the wayside, give me a little more context on that.
Yeah, I think I might have preempted that with the first question that I asked about replacing myself with the AI,
Yeah.
right? And maybe I should have more information before I ask a question like that
No,
because
it's
I
okay.
just figured but it was just a thought that, you know, should people continue on building a personal brand and maybe it's changing a little bit where you might do some things or stop doing some other things. Maybe I'll just get your opinion on or your experience on just personal branding as a whole and
Yeah. So I think um I don't know how personal branding could go away, right? You're still you. You still have to interact with people in person unless you're stuck behind a computer all day every day and you don't have that interaction. But your personal brand follows you everywhere you go, whether you're showing up at the dry cleaners to pick up dry cleaning or you're going to the grocery store, like it's with you. It's who you are. It's how people perceive you and interact with you. While AI could help you define and fine tune how you show up and give you different ideas and ways of how to do that, I have a really hard time like seeing how that just goes away completely. Your personal brand is definitely something that goes with you everywhere you go. I think it can be a tool to help you. I just don't think it can replace you.
gotcha. Another question stuck in my head when we were talking about the bigger companies. Are people who go to hire you, the bigger companies, are they asking you about your AI capabilities? If you think about CEOs and leaders now, everybody's got to have an AI strategy. So they're like, okay, we need marketing. They give you a call and they go, okay, I want you to help me with my marketing. And by the way, how much do you use AI? Do you use AI? How will AI help? Are people approaching you that way?
No, I would say it's actually been quite the opposite. So, what I have heard, especially like during job interviews, they might leverage AI to do research about you, but a lot of companies are kind of cutting down on the use of AI just from privacy reasons. So I think that that's really interesting. They're still trying to figure out like how do they leverage AI, but also keep proprietary things safe. And I've had clients have us sign disclosure agreements saying that we would not leverage AI, that we would not put their information into a tool, and then other clients are completely fine with it. So it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of the interviews that I've been on. When I was interviewing, I don't remember anyone asking me about AI actually. So that's outside of me launching products that had AI, not for my personal use though, like how I used it in business. They didn't ask those questions, so but I'm sure it'll come up more and more.
Yeah. Are you an advisor to, say, chief marketing officers, or who do you typically work with?
I work with CMOs. I work with people who are starting to launch their own businesses. I work with also advertising or branding agencies. So I kind of fill the gap, let's put it that way, on what they're missing within their teams, and I help them fill that gap. From a CMO perspective, same thing. Like I can help bring my experience, the strategy that I've laid in place, how I've organized teams, or developed go-to-market strategies and help them implement that in their teams. So it's really a myriad of the type of people that I work with and the type of brands that I work with.
Got it. And did you just describe for me what's a fractional CMO?
Yes, yes, yes. That is 100% what a fractional CMO is.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to highlight, anybody need a fractional CMO? You see my
Yes,
girl here. She right here. She
yeah,
right here.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, my goal as a fractional CMO is to make sure that I'm fitting in to your existing structure. I'm not trying to, shake things up. I want to understand how you work and where there are deficits so that I can help fill those holes, not to come in and blow things up and reorg and change the way that you're working. It should be complementary to what your team is doing and additive.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point, right? So that people understand you're not coming in there to just blow up what they're doing. You're like, okay, let's take what you're doing and let me show you how to add more value to it. Yeah. Got it.
Right.
Got it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Um, what's the future of TDM and Company?
Gosh, I'm excited. I want to grow my team. Right now, I'm working with two other people that are helping me fill areas that I'm not good at, right? So the design piece of it. So I've got an amazing designer, I've got an amazing client delivery director, and the goal is to continue to grow that and expand so that we are a full service agency that can help brands.
Okay. And if there was a question or two that I did not ask you yet, but when you went to come on the show, you were looking forward to answering, what would those questions be? And then, of course,
Oh,
follow with the answers.
that's a good question. I think, well, it's actually interesting. So one of the questions that, like prep questions that were sent over was about what do you do when you're off course, right? When you feel like you've lost your way, whether it be on a project or you as a personal individual. And I think it's always about like getting back to your why. And I think foundationally that is just so important is to like make sure that you've got that scripted out. And I have spoken with a lot of people that are starting their own things, and I'm like, write out your business plan, map that out. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Nothing has to be perfect. You can always fine tune as you go, but you need to have something that helps ground you in what you're doing so that it's like your source of truth. You go back to it and you say, this is my North Star. And does this still make sense? Is this where I need to go? And I did that when I first started TDM and Co. I wanted to do everything. I was like, I can do everything for everybody. And I was like, wait a second. No, I cannot. I need to have clear focus about the types of things that I wanted to do, the things that energized me, the things that I was passionate about, so that I was clear and fair to people who came to me to say, "Hey, can you do like 20 Instagram posts for me?" I I could, but that's not where my focus is. That's not the most value that I'm going to bring to you. But I know people that can help you do that, right? Like so that I was clear to myself and honest with myself about what I could and wanted to do and the things that I wanted to make sure that if I needed to help them with, that I had other resources that could support them. Um, because you can't be everything to everyone, right? As much as sometimes we want to, it's really, really understanding the value that you bring and your why and why you're doing what you're doing. And I have to go back to that every now and again and check myself and say, hey, this is not what you signed up to do. Let's refocus and get back to why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's so important.
Yeah. No, and you triggered for me a question around what do people get wrong about marketing and what does right look like? And here's what I mean by that. First, the definition, right, marketing is much broader than 20 Instagram posts. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think what people get wrong about marketing is that they only think about the tactics. They think that if you check all of the boxes that that is your marketing strategy, and that's not what marketing strategy is. It's identifying who your audience is, what your message is, and where you're going to show up and how you're going to show up, right? It's back to your 4 Ps, right? That is what marketing is, and I think people oftentimes don't always understand it, especially if that's not what they grew up in career-wise, right? And it's funny because we make jokes. We think everybody's a marketer. Everybody knows how to market. And yes, everybody has great ideas sometimes, but I think it always goes back to that strategic foundation. And I probably sound like a broken record, but it is so critical to success and to have that clarity in what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're going to do it, and being consistent in it. And that's really what marketing is about. And all the other stuff helps to build around that. But having that foundation it's really what it's about.
I'm so grateful to have this conversation because marketing has always been somewhat of a mystery for me. I did spend some time studying it and still trying to learn some things. One of the things you really hit on was, do you have a market first? And I learned a little bit more about that as a coach with Key Person of Influence, the
Hmm.
Dent Group. And they
Okay.
often talk about spending time developing the market first. And if I go back to the Elon Musk example, one of the
Hmm.
things he did before he created that electric monstrosity, I'm sorry, anybody who I offend, I apologize.
My son loves that car, but anyway, go ahead.
But what he did was he basically did a pre market survey. Well, if I built an electric truck, a vehicle, would you buy it? And people signed up for it and actually put money down for it. And I guess because it was Elon Musk, right? That goes back to that personal branding.
Absolutely.
He found a market before he even started building the car. And that was eye opening for me, right? Because I told you earlier, I built a course thinking, I built a course, they will come, instead of spending time trying to figure out, is there a market for the course? So I'm learning a lot by having this conversation with you. And I want to make sure that the people that are listening really understand that having an overarching strategy, having a market first, and all those other nuggets that you just dropped with us, that they take the time to understand that. And so if I or anyone wants to understand more, how do we get in touch with Tracy and TDM?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, Tracey Del Moral. Just type in my name, or you can go to my website, tdmco.agency. Yeah, and reach out. I'm more than happy to chat, discuss, and help in any way that I can. But yeah, I appreciate just being here and being able to share my story and having you listen to me and ask me some tough questions about where I've been and where I'm going. But yeah, I mean, it's all a learning process. We're always learning, right? And we're always growing. And um, I think that's so important, just as people and individuals, that we continue to expand our knowledge and learn and leverage the tools that are available to us, so that we can show up as our best selves. So yeah.
Well, I would say that you showed up as your best self. You were vulnerable. I do appreciate you. You know, I've been trying to get you on the show for a while,
Of course. Yeah.
and I'm so glad to have you. And I just look forward to watching your growth, right?
Thank you.
Going from employee to business owner to trailblazer. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. And like I said, you've been supportive of me since back in my days of Solenis as a mentor. I think you definitely helped me gain some clarity around what I was experiencing, what I was going through, understanding my value and what I actually brought to the table. And that helped turn on a lot of lights. It was like, yeah, that's right. So I think having people like you in my corner that help, you know, refocus and encourage and really help find the path that we should be on. I think that's so critical and so important. And I mean, I would say that to anybody in their career, like having a mentor, multiple mentors even, it really does help and make a difference. Being a mentor as well, it's a two-way, it's a reciprocal relationship, right? Like it goes both ways. You learn from people, they learn from you. And I think that's invaluable. So thank you for the time that you poured into me, because it made a huge difference.
Thank you. That was really nice words you just said. So thank you.
All true, all true, all true.
Wow, what a powerful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insights today. And I'd like to say, for all of you that have joined us, we'll put Tracy's information in the show notes so that people can stay connected to you and your work. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us for another episode of Vision to Reality podcast. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Vision to Reality podcast. A huge thank you to today's guests. You can find all of their contact information in any resources mentioned in the show notes below. Also, can you do me a big favor? If you found today's conversation valuable, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a comment, and a review, and share it with a friend or colleague who could benefit from the information shared today. And remember, vision without action is just a dream. Let's turn those big ideas into reality. I'll see you in the next episode.